that resurrection in Ezekiel is a revival, perhaps, because the bones are still speaking. It sounds a bit figurative, but certainly in the kingdom, that remnant is what Paul's talking about in Romans 11. They're going to get the truth. The task for us, though, is one of us people here would take it upon themselves to get a bunch of Greg's books into Israel. It starts with literature. We haven't done that. People don't have access to our Unitarian truth. Same with the Muslims. You're weeping over the Muslims too, I'm sure. So that could be a project for somebody. Just get books floating around. It's very hard to get into Israel that way. But Jesus did predict that message, that mission. You will not have finished going over the cities of Israel until I come back. We haven't started going over the cities of Israel yet.
I preface my remarks by saying I only see through a glass darkly on this. But, I mean, you could bring in, for example, in the book of Revelation, the two witnesses who seem to die and then are raised again. Are they representative or are they individuals? Another question. But as to whether, Jewish people are going to be raised and evangelized in the millennium, or, as Daniel says, as we were reminded this morning, all those who are asleep in the dust of the earth, will be raised and will shine like the stars and will teach righteousness. So I think there will be some sort of universal setting of things in order, where these folks who perhaps not, before Christ, before his ministry, were faithful but didn't see the full picture. I think they themselves will learn and be taught as well, perhaps.
One of the things we teach is that the New Testament introduces us to a greater understanding of Israel in terms of there are two Israels. There's the Israel of the Spirit, the Galatians 6:16, the Israel of God, that is now the church, where there are, as Greg said, no national, ethnic distinctions. There's no Jew, no Gentile. So there's that Israel of let's call it the heavenly Jerusalem. And there's also the national Israel. So when Jesus told them in Matthew 19:28, he's talking to Christians, by the way. The apostles are Christians, Christ followers. They're no longer Jews. They're Christians. Why? Because he says, and you will reign or rule over the 12 tribes, remember? So that sounds to me like two peoples of God, if you will. So the apostles who represent the church, all of us, the immortal church, and we will reign, we will rule over the nations, the surviving nations, which include, or who include, Israel, Israel of the flesh. So if you go through Paul, the letters of Paul, he talks constantly about the Israel of the flesh, right? And so on. So there's two Israels, and that's a very important view to read the New Testament if you're invested in the Israel of the flesh, the national Israel.
Paul uses the word Israelite, of his flesh and blood, ethnic relatives, and he's like Greg, he's weeping over them, and he's going out to see if he can save some of them right now. But we need a complete mission to the Israel of the flesh, Israelites, especially the Jews, because they surely would write on our one God thing. We go around reciting the Shema. What's that? We haven't done it. But then the Abrahamics, if I may put it this way, have not done much at all in terms of what they call outreach in America. But everybody can do it with the internet. You spend half an hour a day on the website. You ask a question and get involved with somebody, you can do it. Take half an hour a day. Or organize to get some literature into Israel, the Israelites, let's call them that. Flesh and blood Israel. Save some.
And remember, the Great Commission is to all the nations, which include Israel. See, the America, especially where we come from, it's so, as Rick was saying, so Israel-focused, the Israel now. But Israel now is one of the most secular nations in the world. If you go to Israel, I was lucky enough to go. It's pagan. Pagan to the core. It's full of Orthodox Catholic churches, people kissing walls, kissing the floor where Jesus, the body was put there and they're kissing it, and that's idolatry, obviously. So we have to understand that it's not just the Israel now, it's all nations. God has a widescreen plan, as I call it, for all the nations. My nation of Nicaragua, your nation of Britain, if you were born in Britain, and obviously Australia.